Okay, so this is video 3. In video 3, we're going to be laying the eaves that we've previously cut. We're going to be laying the slate to the verge, across the roof and into an abutment. At the abutment, you will have lead soakers. I'll show you how to measure, mark and form those. This is a nail fix roof. Later on in the series of videos, we're going to do a hook fix roof because they are slightly different. So what I'm going to do now is to start to fix the eaves. These eaves have been holed to go into the middle of the roof there, so they've got a hole each side. I'm going to be fixing the first one to the verge, which means the hole there is pretty useless. So what I need to do is find out where the edge of my barge board is there and come in about 25mm from the side, mark it off. I need a hole in there to nail it, otherwise it's going to be flapping. Finished fixing my last one full slate width eave there. I want to put one on here. I don't want to be putting a small piece in there. That's quite unstable. So what I'll do with this is I will cut a slate and a half down to the length of the eave, and then I'll cut a slate and a half into the width of this gap that I've got there. I've got a slate and a half there. So with this one, put it on there back to front. I'll put my eave onto there, which will give me the correct length. On the side now. Just check to see if the width is right. Got my 3mm gap in there, and I've got a nice little gap down there. You don't want it in there too tight. So I'm just going to mark my nails now. Okay. So this is a slate and a half. This is the first one I have to fit now because there's a slate, full width slate eave down there. As you can see on there, that's the slate. That's got the holes already punched in them. They come like that. The slate and a half don't. What I have to do on this is to put the holes in there where I want them. Because this slate and a half is going onto a verge, the verge takes a lot of wind pressure. It needs to be strong. I will make 4 holes in this slate and a half, 2 about midway and 2 at the top there. 30mm in from the side of there, and about 40mm in from the side of there. This one here, I need to find where the top of my batten is underneath and how much overhang. So the overhang is 50mm, that's going to be there. Top of the batten is there, so I need to come about 25–30mm inside of there, make a mark there. Then I can take those off. Okay. When you're nailing these, it's not a bad idea to put a little bit of pressure there. I've nailed that, and that nail head is down onto the slate or slate and a half. If I go like that, you can see that the nail head comes up or the slate goes down. If I tap it now the slate is nice and tight. Nice and tight. So what I'm going to do now, I've put my row of slate on, I've got the last one to go on, but before I do that, I have to put this lead soaker on here. So the lead soaker, I've got 200 ml lead. I need 100 ml up the wall and 100 ml onto the slate there. So I just bend it here. Like that. The soaker goes down to the bottom of the slate, but you don't want to see the soaker. This one will be covered by that anyway, but it needs to be just a couple of mil up. And then it's up there like that. I'll nail that in there so it doesn't fall down. Once I've got that done, I can measure my slate to see if it goes. So I need to come across here. I've turned this one upside down, so the slate would actually go in like that. But because I want to measure it, I'll turn it upside down. Put the edge in there. Come across here. I want a couple of mil. I want 3 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil there. Come into there. And again, I want a couple of mil off into there. Right, so that fits nicely. You don't want it too tight into there because when the slates move, and they will move slightly, you don't want to put any pressure onto the lead soaker. That's my first full course on. I'm now going back to the start. Because I've got a slate and a half there, I'm then going to go with a slate, and that forms the broken bond of the slating. So what I need to do first, put my slate on where it's got to go. Yep. Okay, with that first one on, I can now go across. I'm going to show you now how to work out the length of your soaker. So your soaker is, you take your gauge, which is 200 in this case, you take your headlap, which is 100 in this case, that makes 300, and you add 25. The 25 is just to go to the top here so that you can nail it into that part of the batten. If you forget the formula for that, there's a very easy way to do it. You take a piece of batten, put it onto the bottom of the slates. That's where your slates are going to come through. When I put the soaker on, I don't want to see it. So if I take the line of that, strike a line or mark a line on there, take the batten away, I'll now get a tape, come from the top of that batten there to that there, and I've got 330. I don't want to see it at the bottom, so I'll make it 325. I'll cut the length of my soaker at 325. That means I won't see it at the bottom, but it'll be going far enough for me. When the slate sits on there, you need 100 mil coming in. When it goes against here, the minimum upstand is 75. I always put 100 mil because 75 is quite tight. If you get a snow load in against there, it could easily come in. So 100 mil and 100 mil. And the lead that you use is code 3. So as you bend that one there like that, it's code 3 lead, it's quite malleable. That one goes in there. You can see if I put it to the top there, it's just short of that line, which means when the slate goes on, I won't see it. Okay, so what I've done, I've put the top course of full slate on. Because I've got a short course on the top, I've got to now cut my slates to go onto there. So what I need to do first is to mark on here the face of the slate, which is the gauge. So there to there, there to there. So that to there is 200 mil. I want to mark 200 mil on there. Up out of the way so I can't see it when the slate goes on. Then I need to do that on this side of the roof as well. And the reason for doing this it gives me a line right the way across, which gives me there.
Yeah. So there.
Straight there. I'm looking to keep the bottom straight. So I've got to cut this course and I've got to cut the next course as well. And I'll do exactly the same on that one as well. So that's my line there. That's where I want the bottom of this slate to come down to. So what I can do is to put it on there down to the line. That keeps the bottom of my slate straight. And what I want to do now is mark this halfway on the batten. I'll cut that across there and cut that off. And then when I put the next course on, I've got half of the batten to nail into for the top course. Completed fixing that course. That's the first top course that I've had to cut. What I'm going to do now is to cut the next one. So I'll mark up here the face of my slate or the gauge. Mark it there, there. And then I'm going to go across here and mark it there. Yeah. Get my straight edge. Thank you. Now I can do that with a straight edge, or I can do it with a chalk line. If I mark it that end and I mark it the other end, I can string a line across there and strike it with a chalk line. That will give me the same effect. So what I'm not looking for, I'm not looking for this course here to be straight at the top. I'm looking for it to be straight at the bottom. So it can go in line with this top batten here, and I've got this area here to nail it into. So all I need to do now is get a slate. Thank you. Now if I put it down on there, down to the line that I've just made, then I can mark off the top of my batten and the top of my batten. So mark it there, but I'm also going to check it across here. Spot on. Okay, so that's my measurement. I just need to cut them now. So I've cut my toppers now. Mark my line. I know where I'm going with it. What you can get sometimes with this is when you put it on here, you can put it onto the line down here, but you'll get that, and you'll also get that when you nail it in. You don't want that. So what I've done, because of that problem there, potential problem, what I've done here is I've fixed a piece of lath, which is 10mm lath. When I put that down to my line on the bottom and I nail it there, it's nice and solid. It's not going to move. So I'll, right. Okay, so I'm now putting my cut on down to my line and out to my verge, so it's nice and straight. There, and that way it's all nice and solid. It's not going to kick up in the air. This is the end of the slating. We've covered, in this part of the video sequence, putting the eaves on that we measure, marked and cut and hold earlier, starting on the bottom of the verge, going up the verge, across the bottom, coming across on a rake. We then got into our abutment. And on the abutment, every slate course that you put on has to have a lead soaker. Alternate between a slate and a slate and a half. You will more than likely always have to cut into an abutment. And then you bring it across. This one will have a soaker on now. Then I'll bring this slate in, then a soaker, then the slate, then the soaker, so and so. Top course, you can fit a piece of lath. Obviously the rest of that roof will be finished and then the ridge line would be put on. In our next videos, we're going to be showing putting the ridge on. We're going to be showing doing this roof again, but on a hook fixing. These videos have been brought to you by me, Alan Launder of Rooftrain, and by Independent Slate Supplies. We really enjoy doing them. We hope you take a lot out of it, and I hope they're useful to you. Look forward to seeing you on the next ones.